Let's get this thing started again. Hi guys, I'm Shane Snipes. You're watching Sustainable 1000, 1,000 interviews across 48 states in 250 days. Stop by sustainable1000.com for lots more podcasts of audio stuff that we've done in terms of radio shows. We do them 4 or 5 days a week now, and video, I basically 7 days a week you'll see some video from some expert or some person that I found that wants to talk about sustainability, and I'm happy to have Joshua Giordano with me today, and we're talking about investing in energy. First question though is always from people who are outside of New York, and whenever I'm talking to folks who are outside of New York or talking to folks in New York about New York, people outside of it are super excited to ask questions about what's so special about New York City. I saw a few of those coming in from folks who knew that I'd be talking to you. Jose's question is, New York seems like a giant behemoth that probably creates lots and lots of pollution. How do you think, as a resident, you can live more sustainably?
That is actually a wonderful question. I don't have the statistics at hand, but most cities, and in particular New York, is actually the greenest city in the U.S. The only greener city, as far as I understand, is Vancouver. In terms of, and I should be more specific, in terms of overall energy use.
Right. But he said in the U.S. notice, which is just a nice way for him to say that Canada is the 51st state. But you heard it from me, not from him. He just indirectly said it. We're gonna we're gonna shift around actually, because there's a direct backlight to us right now, and the sun has started to set. So let's shift in just a moment. But I'm not gonna stop broadcasting. We're just gonna turn. So hold on. There we go. That's better. Yes, good. All right, now we're good. Okay, so let's continue here. I'll get your in. There's still lots of light behind us, but that's all right. Okay, so other questions about. Well, wait, you were saying something about New Yorkers.
Yeah, basically, cities are more efficient by nature than someone who's living in a suburb. We live in very large high-rise apartment buildings that are naturally insulated against the elements. We generally don't drive. We take public transportation, and we walk. Basically living in a city in almost every case is more environmentally friendly. We simply have 8 million people in New York, so overall the emissions are higher, but on a per capita basis, city dwellers are much, much more efficient.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. Owen had a question. Owen is from Memphis, Tennessee, and Owen's question is, it seems like a lot of investments are still looking at the bottom line as the most important piece. Are there any indicators that large corporations, and aside from a very slim percentage of companies and 401k programs that do have a social consciousness, is there any, I guess, it looks like he's trying to say, is there any opportunities that you see in the future for that to drastically change?
I think I understand what you're getting at. I would offer maybe a slightly different way of thinking about this sort of topic. And please forgive me, but I think we want investors to look simply at the bottom line. And I know that might sound strange, but that's the only way for them to assess one project versus another. So if we simply create a cost of pollution, let's say there are just, for example, two projects. One emits one type of pollutant, one emits another type of pollutant. The investor really doesn't necessarily understand which pollutant is worse, but if we create a value, a cost, of one pollutant versus the other, they would be able to decide, we're going to pick the project that costs less, and it costs less because the government has said that pollutant isn't nearly as bad as project number 2 with a very horrible pollutant. That project would simply cost more. So if they look at the bottom line, take the extrinsic costs of pollution, bring it into the cost of their project and their analysis, it makes a very, very streamlined approach. And they can assess lots of projects, hopefully keep the cost low for everybody, but yet at the same time understand very clearly what projects are the most environmentally friendly.
Yeah. And can we capture all those extrinsic extrinsic cost, because it seems like they're so complicated to track and there's so many of them. Can we quantify them?
Oh, absolutely we can. So if we're looking specifically at emissions from power plants, we've already quantified sulfur and nitrogen output and the cost of this. And then we've had programs in the U.S. for years and years. It's called SOx and NOx trading. It's been very successful at helping both utilities understand what the cost of polluting is, as well as simply creating a good baseline from which to start to understand how to actually trade pollution emissions rights and bring the pollution discussion into the realm of our capitalistic society.
Can we do that in relationship to, say, if a community is experiencing asthma and the things related to being in a power plant or having that kind of pollution around them? Are we capturing those costs and including them into the extrinsic cost of the pollution itself?
We absolutely should. So there are other pollutants. So CO2 is now one of them. We also, though, on the other side of this, we have 50% of our pollution coming from from automotive, from transportation issues, and it's been very difficult for politicians to take a strong stand on the automotive side. The auto industry was very much against raising the standards for mileage. It looks like we're about to have much more strict standards, but it's coming very slowly. And in the areas where you have a lot of industrial factories, a lot of diesel trucks in the Bronx, we have horrible asthma issues. That will come from a combination of regulation on power plant emissions, but also that's very much a local issue. They're going to need more specific regulations on those particulate emitting trucks.
So the complexity is definitely there.
I would say the complexity is definitely there. You're not dealing with that many pollutants. You're just dealing with so many people that are producing the pollutants. I think that's where the difficulty is there.
Guys, we're coming up on the end of my battery life here, so the show will be coming to a close in just a moment. But first, I have to ask what I always ask as part of my project is, what's your definition of sustainability, and does it mean something different for you as a city dweller, do you think?
That is an excellent question. So sustainability should cover, I think, 3 areas. Number one, it should strike a balance, maybe the better way to say it, between a benefit to the environment and society. It should come at a cost that is not so high that sustainability falls away as soon as we have a recession. And then number 3, it should fit into the society we already have, so that it's easily acceptable. And there's so many things that they take time, but as long as we're seeing progress in terms of sustainability, in terms of being able to create an energy infrastructure, create a transportation infrastructure, to create even a foods infrastructure that balances these 3 issues, I'm very optimistic.
I'm Shane Snipes. You're watching Sustainable 1000. We're talking to Joshua Giordano. He is part of Energistics, and we have been chatting about investing in energy and what you can do about it, as well as sustainable life in New York City and in other cities. So feel free to stop by his website, which is...
Oh, again, EnergisticsLLC.com, but again, easiest way to get me is my personal address, joshnyc@yahoo.com.
There you go. Thanks, guys. And of course, stop by Sustainable 1000 whenever you get a chance. We'd love to have you. Have a great sustainable weekend. And if you get a chance, you have to come to New York before the winter because it gets really cold here. But it's definitely still a great city to be in, even then. See ya.